Last week, hours before the Japanese parliament was to adjourn, the government issued its review of the so-called Kono Statement, the apology issued in 1993 to Asian countries for Japan's actions during World War II. It particularly mentioned the so-called comfort women from Korea and other countries. They were sex slaves forced into army brothels. The review said that South Korea had a hand in the wording of the Kono Statement, insisting that it say comfort women were forced into sex slavery. Despite that, the government said it would stand by it. So, why is the Kono Statement still a burning issue in Japan and South Korea? And why did Prime Minister Shinzo Abe push for its review? To help us answer these questions, we have Andrew Horvat with us on Skype. Horvat is a longtime journalist in Japan and has worked on numerous studies to try to reconcile Japanese and Korean narratives of their difficult histories. Welcome back to LinkAsia again, Andrew.
Hi, it's nice to be back.
Now, why did the Japanese government go through with this review?
Well, first of all, it's very important to point out that it's not the government. This is not the bureaucracy. From the bureaucracy's point of view, the comfort women issue is a diplomatic sore point. They would prefer not to have to deal with it at all. It's the right wing of the ruling Liberal Democratic Party, of which Prime Minister Abe is the head. And when he was swept back into power a year and a half ago, he had as his supporters this particular group of revisionists who have been uncomfortable with the outcome of World War II, specifically with the outcome of the Tokyo war crimes trials, which they believe gives the impression that Japan was all bad and everybody was all good. And they have been riled by this, by the comfort women issue. The point here is that the Japanese right, I mean, I'm now talking about the extreme right, they argue that these women were prostitutes. And that, you know, what's the whole fuss about it?
Well, how is the review playing in Japan to the public at large?
The average person is rather tired of Mr. Abe and his group trying to prettify history, and I think most Japanese are rather sympathetic with towards the comfort women, but I think at the same time they're also very fed up with the comfort women issue and other historical matters constantly being used by Korea and China to try to humiliate Japan. So the answer is that there is a case of comfort women fatigue among the general public here.
Well, maybe so, but now the Koreans say they will issue their own white paper on the comfort women. Does this mean the issue will not die despite the fatigue over the issue in Japan, as you say?
You're absolutely right. The issue will not die, but the really sad part in all of this is that sincere attempts on the part of the Japanese side, both inside the government and among the general public, to try to compensate the women failed because of diplomatic wrangling between the Koreans and the Japanese. So neither side is looking very good right now. Both sides trying to have a statement that, or a final statement that fits their political ends, but not necessarily the interests of these poor women.
Andrew Horvat is a journalist and university teacher in Japan. He has also worked on ways of reconciling Japanese and Korean versions of history in the first half of the last century. That history is still alive for many Japanese and South Koreans. Public opinion polls taken this spring show more than 80% in both countries think relations are bad. The poll was taken by Tokyo's Yomiuri newspaper and Seoul's Korea Times and is a new high in both nations. In Japan, the public may be swayed by a spate of books and articles critical of Korea. Another Japanese newspaper, the Asahi, reported that the country's most popular magazine, titled Bunshu, carried an anti-Korean or anti-Chinese piece in virtually every issue in the past year. In South Korea, the media revel in finding stories that make Japan look bad, particularly if they sense any rise in Japanese militarism. Japan's Prime Minister Shinzo Abe has unveiled a package of measures to stimulate long-term growth in Japan's economy. It's been in the doldrums for 2 decades. Abe wants to cut corporate taxes, make the labor market more flexible, and encourage more women to enter the workplace. He sounded upbeat as he made the announcement.
Rising corporate revenues are leading to more jobs and higher wages. It is this sort of positive cycle that's starting to emerge.